Hello, hello. We'll be ready in just a sec. AR, why don't you try talking so they can tell us how our audio levels are?
Everything's going pretty good. How's everything doing over there?
Tired and coughing, so I will have my hand on a kill switch for myself, audio-wise.
I always do.
Yep. And at some point, I really have to replace the ancient 15-year headset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, looks like they can hear us about fine, so I will grab it so I can grab the audio so I can go ahead and filter it out for the recording later, starting now. Okay, that should be good. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the Dual Podcast. We're here to hopefully inform and entertain a little bit while talking about Digimon. I'm Mark, I run with the Will.
And I'm AR Pulver, amateur hacker with Hudi.
Welcome back. It's been a while since our last episode, and you were sort of there.
Yeah. The last couple weeks we had, my wife had her hours switched for the holidays, so she had to work on Saturdays. And last week I had my office party. So, yeah, I've been having to do other stuff for last month or so.
Yeah, I believe in the last episode you were in the chat room watching Logan. I'm bad with names.
Lucas. Oh.
Okay, I was close. Okay. May's not here with us this episode, so we're gonna go ahead and hold off on the stage play again, because I think we all kind of want to be here for that, because there's a lot to discuss for that one.
I'm sure. It's also only been a month since I've seen it, so
yeah,
pacing it out a little bit probably would be for the best. The thing about the stage play is it's something that is... You sort of just view it once, and that's really all you need. It's not like Try, where you need to watch it 3 times to get the gist of it.
Yeah. Although I'm pretty sure, once I'm reasonably sure we're going to do it, I'm going to rewatch it a day or so before we talk about it.
Well, yeah.
Because there's a lot of interesting stuff there, but, we'll get to that hopefully next time.
Mm-hmm.
So, shall we just jump into the news?
Sure.
So, this is going back a few weeks. There were various New Year's images for Digimon. We used one of the 3 Digimon last time, I believe, because that was pre-New Year's, actually. The other 2 New Year's images, though, are quite good with their own little amusing jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to decide if the best one is the Mochi joke, or if where it's the cover of the Butterfly CD.
Oh, yeah, the Butterfly CD is pretty fun. Yeah. The Agumon, Gatchmon, Zubamon is pretty I just like the idea of past and present.
Yeah. And I like that Zubamon's actually showing up and stuff.
Yeah, I just got him in Hacker's Memory. It's nice to see.
Yeah. So which of the 3 pieces of art do you like the best?
Well, I'm still probably a sucker for Try. But I have to acknowledge Gatchmon and Zubamon.
I don't know. I think, for me, I think it has to be just because of the Mochimon joke. Because Mochimon looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have much else to say. And, various artists did their own stuff. Kenji Watanabe did one with Weregarurumon, I think.
That would make sense.
Yeah, and there's various other... Because you're the dog. And,
yeah.
And now we can get into probably one of the bigger topics that you probably have something to say about. Hacker's Memory is out in the U.S.
I don't know if I have a whole lot to say about this because, I mean, for people who are just starting to pick up the game now, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm that far. It's not like I'm that far enough to spoil anything anyway.
True.
And also, the gameplay's mostly the same as Cyber Sleuth, so there isn't a whole lot to talk about there.
So what you're saying is this Cyber Sleuth side story plays like Cyber Sleuth.
Yeah, funny that.
Yeah, is the weirder thing that so very many people seem surprised by this. Like,
are they surprised?
A lot of people online seem to be kind of shocked that it's just more Cyber Sleuth. And I mean, maybe it's just people who don't keep up on it like we do. But I don't know what, like, even seeing a trailer of the game, it doesn't look like a quote-unquote new game.
Right.
So I'm not quite sure what people were expecting.
I guess maybe they might have thought that that there'd be more original maps and maybe the music would be different in a lot of places. Because in a lot of places, the maps and the music are identical. Maybe that's what's throwing people off.
Possibly. Oh, okay. Also, you pre-ordered the game, right?
Yeah.
The DLC still doesn't work, correct?
I haven't even gotten codes yet.
Okay, yeah, that's been part of the issue too. Some of you guys may not know this. They haven't quite activated and in many cases sent out the pre-order DLC codes yet. So we will see what happens with that, because I'm not sure I expect a resolution on the weekend. They need to do something soon, though, because people are getting pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then on top of that, I don't believe they've quite detailed this for the US yet, but it's shown up in tons of other places. The NX versions of Alphamon and Gallantmon were announced as DLC and came out at this point almost everywhere except the US. And we actually weren't sure if we were getting those because of how they were released in Japan. Because they were DLC included with the limited edition version.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested to see what the price is. We're expecting between $2.99 and $4.99. And I'm not sure it's worth $4.99. I'm not sure it's worth $2.99, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. And they finally confirmed who the 4 Digimon were for the retweet campaign. Aren't you really shocked that the silhouettes of Ryudamon and his evolutions ended up being Ryudamon and his...
I thought you worked that out. Did you work it out last time, or had it not been confirmed last time?
They only confirmed it like maybe a week ago, or a week and a half ago. They literally put up like the most perfect silhouettes of all 4 of them, and went, "Who could these Digimon be?" They didn't fade them out or mess with them in any way. It was literally just everything white over a black background.
Here you go.
Yeah, and we don't know who the 5th one is, though. Which was
no silhouettes for that one.
No, they've done no silhouettes. It's literally just going to be... I'm not sure if I want it to be an amazing Digimon or just something completely normal, because like the names people are expecting are... Everyone keeps guessing like the biggest things they can think of. So I sort of want it to just be something normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh look, it's Shurimon.
Yeah.
Because everyone's guessing Drace Novamon or, other major characters. I don't think we really need to go over the trailers that they've done much because the game's out, but...
I didn't even watch the last trailer because I would be playing it a day later.
Oh no, the better part is they then did another one for launch day.
Yeah.
But the one thing I think that does need to be said, and I've said this a few times before, every trailer really does, get you excited for the game. I'm not even hugely interested in the game, and the trailers make me go, this looks pretty good, maybe I should get this. Wait, no, I don't want to play. It's not going to be good for me.
Yeah, and I was a little uncertain about the story going in. I mean, because the original story of Cyber Sleuth, the concept just drew me in immediately. This one kind of needed to sell me a little bit, but just playing it for a little while, it's like, yeah, this is kind of an interesting story. Keisuke is kind of an interesting character, and
that was the one thing that I've heard consistently is people are very pleased with Keisuke.
Yeah,
and seemingly his character, it at least does explain why they're a bit less customization than there was last time, where you got to pick, male, female, different names and everything.
Mm-hmm. like I find myself with speech options wondering what this character is supposed to be doing. Like what's consistent with this character and not what's funniest.
I don't know. See, sometimes the funny answers are good though. Although I admit,
Yeah, they are.
Although I admit I tend to not go with the funny ones when I'm playing a game. I tend to sit there and go, that's my answer.
I tend to pick a personality for my protagonist and stick with it.
Makes sense.
Sometimes it's the funny one, but not always.
Now, you're taking a break from the game specifically to do the show this week, right?
Basically, yeah.
So what you're saying?
I paused it like a half hour before. And once the show's over, I'll be playing within a half hour again.
So what you're saying is I should slow down my rate of talking.
It's not a rental. I bought the game.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
play it
No, of course. And that's not the only game news we have, of course.
Although I suppose I have been playing Persona 5. I got that for Christmas, so it was playing that had to have stopped abruptly. So I do want to finish Hacker's Memory in a reasonable amount of time so I can get back to Persona 5.
And we have news of a new game.
Yeah.
A new mobile game, which very oddly, ignoring that I think we're all kind of burnt out on the mobile games at this point, it's very... Digimon Rise was announced, and it's kind of odd because it has artwork from Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru, who did almost all the original character art for Digimon in the early years.
Tell.
Yes, you can. But it's odd because, to a degree, doesn't it kind of look and feel like a more advanced Lynx?
A little bit, but it sounds like they're going to focus on the aspects that I wanted in Lynx and didn't get.
You'll get those in a very free-to-play fashion, I'm sure.
That's what I'm hoping for.
But yeah, so Digimon Rise will be out later this year in Japan, and considering they're already throwing up websites and stuff, I'm not sure how long of a wait it's going to be.
Yeah.
We aren't quite sure what it is, but the description is more theorizing based on screenshots from people, and it seems to be a cross between Animal Crossing and Digimon World.
I'd take that. I would totally take a Digimon version of Animal Crossing.
Oh, I don't disagree with you. It will be interesting to see. One of the things that's interesting is, why are they having him do character art for it? Like, do you think there's going to be an actual proper story mode, which has been a bit iffy in the most recent mobile games?
Right.
Or do you think it's purely so that the player avatar looks Digimon-ish?
Yeah, it could be the latter.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we have a problem with the Lynx. Like, she's wonderful. But these do look like Digimon characters.
Remember, she's helping you.
Right. Well, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. With the announcement of Rise, they're doing a contest where you can win, sign boards from Chika Sakamoto and Mayumi Yamaguchi.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they haven't said it, but I think we're kind of expecting them to show up in the game also. They seem to like throwing them in as special versions of Agumon and Gabumon for cameos, for stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, serious question. Do you think there's a possibility the game will simply be out by the time we do another episode?
Oh, no. There wasn't a date on those? It was just, this is a coming soon type thing?
They were just saying coming soon 2018, but then, the last page of V-Jump also put it as, there's going to be more about the game in the next issue. Then that same day the issue comes out, the website goes up, they start the contest, and the contest ends in like 2 weeks. I'm curious, does it make any sense to do a promotional contest for a game that ends months early?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be months. I think we can probably get one more podcast in, but I wouldn't put money on 2.
Yeah, well,
I think the over or under on how many podcasts we get in before this game comes out is 1.5.
Yeah, because my brain's just going, the contest ends February 5th. That seems an awfully short time to run a contest for almost no reason.
Yeah.
So it's, just kind of sits there in my head going, is it going to show up on the 6th?
Mm.
But then there's also the obvious question is, do you think a game like this can exist side by side with Link's?
How's Link's doing in Japan? Is it still up there?
It seems to be doing fine. I mean,
Oh.
they keep doing various events. It seems to be doing well enough. I wouldn't be shocked if this is effectively Link's 2, though.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. And we probably should mention the one silhouette of a new Digimon, which people keep trying to figure out if it's going to be some sort of hedgehog thing.
That's was where I went first.
Yeah, I mean, it looked... For some reason, my brain keeps jumping to, like, an evolved Armadillomon. But, yeah, we'll have more to say about this, no doubt, but not for the moment. Now, the next one...
A hedgehog Digimon would be cute. I'd like to see this.
Now, the next one, I really hope we get a translation of this since it's going to be streamed. Probably the best potential staff Q&A possible. So it's going to be at the 4th floor cafe at Nakano Broadway. It's going to run
Of course it is.
It's going to run for 3 hours. It's going to be hosted by Kenji Watanabe, who writes for the Digimon games, and I believe he did all the side stuff for Hacker's Memory. Producer Habu. And it's going to be split up into 3 talks with different people for each one lasting an hour. The first one is going to be the beginning of the V-Pets up to the anime, and it'll have Kenji Watanabe, Volcano Oda, and Hiroyuki Kakudo, who directed huge chunks of the anime.
Yeah.
Part 2 will be Kakudo and Kanaka.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And part 3 will be behind the scenes of Hacker's Memory, along with prospects for Digimon games in general.
That's if you can get Kakudo and Konaka to shut up.
Yeah, anyone who pays attention to them on Twitter knows that if either of them says anything to the other, they will go back and forth almost non-stop.
What happened to Konaka's Twitter? Can we just take a brief...
Okay. It originally started as him doing some behind-the-scenes stuff, explaining some universe stuff as he saw it. Then
he's kind of posting it, trying to make it low-key in character as Yamaki, too.
But then he explained that, okay, yes, it's me. Then he's like, I'm not going to do this anymore just because I don't like doing this stuff. I don't like doing short form on Twitter. And then, like, the next day, it turned into his personal Twitter, and he just went, like, crazy.
Yeah, and just turning into all these musings about Digimon and all this other random stuff, all this random musings about not Digimon. He turned his avatar on Twitter to Severus Snape.
Yes.
I'm fully expecting him to start posting results of Shindan Maker quizzes.
I feel like the moment it turned was when they announced that the favorite episode of Tamers was one that wasn't written by him. I mean, it feels like that's the exact moment when it turned into him talking about anything and everything. Was because like the first thing he did was what do you guys think was the best episode? Because I'm curious to see what everyone thinks. It's like they just did that, and I think he was really surprised by the episode because
I mean, I'm surprised by it too, but it's a good episode.
Oh no, it is, but it's not one of the episodes that comes to mind when people talk about how Tamers is.
Yeah.
It is very much more akin to an adventure or an O2 episode.
It's not one of the episodes that I think in a popular poll would be number 1, but I think that if you ask like a juried panel, it would come up in like the top 5 or the top 10.
Yes. But yeah, since this is gonna stream, I really hope someone does nab it and goes through it because there's gonna be some interesting stuff in here, and it is hard to find good pictures of Kanaka.
This is is why I'm really. It's still unfortunate years later that he was actually supposed to go to a convention I was going to attend, like 10 years ago, and he had to call in sick, and so I never got to attend his panels and stuff. I would have really liked to meet him.
Yeah, that's too bad. But yeah, this is gonna be in a week, and I think he'll show up at panels in the U.S. eventually. Production people seem to really like going to the conventions out here. At some point, someone will get him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's been to one or two, I want to say.
Oh, I'm sure he has.
Yeah. But yeah, we need to get like him, Volcano Oda, and throw in producer Habu and get them at a Digimon panel.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be a very interesting event. And I believe they've talked about having bleachers for the audience. I don't know if that's just mistranslations or not, though. So we'll see what kind of audience there is. Moving on. We got, it's out at this point in Japan in about 2 weeks, I believe. We're starting to get artwork from the 1.5 Battle Spirit set, which is just the first one with a few bits of new art. And the new art's really good, and is this the first time we've seen Zubamon and he's not cartoony?
Might be.
Because I think all the artwork we've had of him is reasonably, like, cute anime game art.
Mm-hmm.
We also get the first non-promo release of the Ofanimon Fall Down Mode and Regulmon cards with new art. Regulmon looks really good, and they both look good because they're not using the both of their Battle Spirit cards kind of had generic art before.
Mm-hmm.
And new art for Garudamon and Holy Angemon, and there'll be more of those. And the card boosters will have new artwork of War Greymon, Metal Garurumon. And I think we're all kind of just waiting to see what's going on with the 2.0 set. Because we only have one piece. We only have one piece of art from that, but it's such a great shot of Vmon.
It's very intriguing.
Yes. Yeah, and it's just such a good piece of art, though, is the other thing.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah. And moving on to yet more products, we have pictures of the second series of Capsule Mascot Gashapon toys. They're not painted yet. I still don't know why the Agumon one is there again, minus that it's Agumon. But like looking at the prototype, it maybe has a few tweaks to it. I feel like the best looking one is actually the Tyrannomon one, though.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks good. And the Metal Greymon one's big. And these are going to be 300 yen each. And I kind of want them. It's the type of thing where I feel like they kind of look better as prototypes than when we see the finished thing.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
You're definitely doing some gambling there going for those. Trying to get Metal Greymon and end up with a Koromon.
I believe you can actually buy them in the cases, though.
Oh, okay.
Which, if you just want to grab a set, makes it relatively easy.
Yeah.
Now, the next one is both kind of exciting and kind of, well, we already knew it was happening. The mini card sets for the 20th anniversary, and the new X-Antibody Digimon, but they also threw in new X-Antibody story stuff, which I wasn't expecting. And,
right.
I mean, the designs are... It's hard to say anything about designs minus those are certainly X-Antibody versions of those Digimon.
Yep, those are X-Antibodies, all right.
I mean, it is exactly what you would expect Maria to do, artwork-wise. They have the sharp edges. They have his green. They have the little floaty hair thing that his art has sometimes. I'm not sure what to call that. But like the wavy energy hair.
That is wavy. Yeah, there you go. Wavy energy hair.
I mean, his designs often have that. The weapons look like they were taken from Klingons. They're far too sharp and pointy. So the story is interesting in that I I mean, I may be wrong, but does any of the previous X antibody stuff suggest that they can go back to the old version of the digital world?
No.
I mean, they mention it being locked down and
Yeah,
moved on from, but it's never really.
it's
There's no suggestion that there's any way to go back.
yeah, it's condemned basically.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the first suggestion that there may be something there in the either because everything basically goes to the new world, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think we will get any follow up to this, or do you think it was just whoever wrote the original wrote a paragraph or two for fun, and to explain the new characters?
This is probably explanation. I don't know if they're dying to do anything too extensively with the X antibody story.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And we have images of every card, and I feel I do still absolutely love that there's a full set of Omegamon cards. I mean, okay. I mean, you tell me. Ignoring that you can buy all three of them together, each one can be bought separately. Which of these three sets do you believe will be bought the most by fans?
Oh, no doubt.
It's Omegamon. There's no
totally
like people keep going. Why are they doing this? It's like it's a joke. It's like no, that is how popular that character is. We have one set which is all X antibody Digimon with fans like, and there's new characters. Then we have the Royal Knights along with Zubamon and Meikumon, which that set is one that people are gonna like.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the one I'd probably go with. I want that little pixelated Meikumon.
The one with all the Omegamons is the one that's going to sell the most because fans love Omegamon stuff. And I love the different art on here. And I love that the last one is Omegamon.
Yes.
Like that is the closest thing to a joke in the set.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I recall, I believe originally we didn't even realize it was Omegamon. The names are so close.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't catch that either. I mean, I noticed the
well, because the spelling's almost identical.
I noticed the 8-bit. I noticed the 8-bit Omegamon up there, but
yeah. Well, even
Omegamon.
Yeah. Well, like even if you look at the cards, the spelling is so similar. It's just one little thing missing on the third piece of text for the name. Otherwise, the name's identical.
At some point, it's all Omegamon that you just sort of stop reading and don't notice the rest.
So, which of the Omegamon cards is your favorite? I like the one with Omegamon on
it. Yeah, Give me that pixel one.
You know what? I like the Alter S one, and I think that's new art, isn't it?
I would have no idea.
Well, because a lot of these were taken from, a lot of the new cards were taken from old card games or pre-existing art, but I think that's new. Yeah, all the art on these is great, and I still kind of love that they're still using on a few of the cards the old X Evolution renders. Like even the Dorumon one. Then we have, like, how many Alphamon cards in the set? Like 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the bonus cards, though, are probably the ones that look the nicest, though, if I'm being honest. Where we just get those quarter profiles, the 3/4 with the signatures on them. Those look great.
Yeah.
And moving on to another 20th anniversary thing, pre-orders for the pendulums are open, and they look really, really nice, considering I never get this type of thing, but I'm always tempted. I mean, they have the ones from the original pendulums and the .5s, and then they showed off some of the new Digimon, which were, I feel like some of the bigger surprises were we're getting stuff from Cross Wars in there.
Yeah.
It feels odd that Mad Leomon's going to be there, for example.
Yeah, that's not what I expected to get all that much prominence, but
and then
keep showing up.
And then throwing in stuff like Terriermon and Lopmon and Macracmon. And I still love Rudamon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good look. Then they announced the cold mode, which is just various versions of it have existed before, but this seems to be a more comprehensive. I have stuff to do, so yeah. And I liked how it turns the Digimon into a little fridge. And then just the other day, we got to see Rudamon's evolution, which was a bit surprising to everyone.
Yeah.
Thea Rudamon.
Thea Rudamon.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting it to go in that direction.
No, but what's interesting is like, because the one shot we have basically has them side by side, and you can see that actually, there's a number of elements they kept. They just changed the theme, which is really weird, and we don't really see them do that often anymore.
Yeah, it's a different color. It's a little sharper. There's a big head in the torso.
Well, at least the name informs the color, because named after the goddess Thea. She was described as the divine light of the blue sky. So we have the light coming off the shield, and he looks fancy, and he's blue, and he has hair for some reason.
I think the 01 is on the collar now.
Yeah, he still has the 01.
Even though it's... Yeah.
Now, I don't believe it said anywhere that this is an adult level, though. I mean, that's kind of been the assumption, but it could be a higher level, possibly.
Yeah, I could see that being a perfect.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. But if it is an adult, I'm trying to figure out where do you go from this dude who could easily pass as a final level.
Well, I hope the torso they do something with that head.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's going to be some sort of evolution transformation thing, and that's going to become the head.
Oh, yeah, different mode shift or something.
Yeah. Although, I also think it's possible, because I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, well, the top of his head looks like it can fit there. So I'm wondering if that has to do with the shield transformation for that. Since we know both of them become shields. I wonder if it's going to be like a wolf shield type thing. But the legs are kind of odd looking. I don't know. I like the design of it. Honestly, when I first saw the thumbnail, I'm like, oh, that's weird. They're including whoever Garurumon. I forgot his name, but he's blue.
Yeah, it was like like a Gaugamon or something.
Yeah, it was
the Mirage Gaugamon.
Burst mode.
Yeah.
At first, that's who I thought it was, because when I first saw it, it was like 100 by 100 for the full page. And I zoom in, I'm like, oh wait, that's someone new. I don't know. I like the design, even if it's nothing like what we expected based on the first three.
Right. It's a good design. It's just completely different.
Because we have his baby too, and we have the child, and the theme makes sense between them.
He's got a nice hat.
Yes. I still feel like my favorite one is the baby one, where he has that look on his face of trying hard, where it's heavy.
He looks like he's going to his dad's welding company.
Yes. But when you look at some of the lower ones, it also makes sense, because the baby 2, that is a nice looking shield.
Yeah.
And then we get the more grungy sort of armory look. I don't know. I'm really curious to see where this goes, because it's just an interesting design that none of us, no one guessed we'd get a design that almost looks like a regal knight.
The next one will be red.
Yes. And moving on from that, scans of the 20th art book were given to us from our friends at Digisoul. There's not a lot of news. There's not a lot of new stuff here, but a lot of interesting stuff.
Just look at it and smile.
Yes. I feel like the primary theme here is we've seen 80% of this, but it's no longer 320 by 320.
Yeah.
And I love that there's literally just a page about the different Agumons. Yeah, we're not going to go into this too deeply, because you guys can flip through the pages yourself, but there's a lot of good stuff here. And I believe we see the sword mode for every evolution of Zubamon. And I don't believe we've seen any of these before prior to the art book, did we?
Hmm.
Like, I can't remember sitting there going, okay, we've seen Zubamon sword mode before, or we've seen Zubagermon sword mode before. We knew they had them,
Yeah.
but I don't think we've seen them.
No, maybe not.
No. That's been kind of the weird aspect of the weapon Digimon is we don't really see them.
Yeah.
It's sort of more a metaphorical weapon than anything else. But what we do have from the art book, Garm translated the entire Kenji Watanabe interview, and there's a lot of interesting stuff here.
Yeah.
And because they didn't include a picture of him, I had to track down a picture of him from a different article. And I love that he goes into like the stuff that it was before it was Digimon, or showing us early, like in the early sketches, you could see most of the characters that we know are still there.
Yeah.
And then he even goes into O2 and other stuff, which is just very interesting.
Yeah, well, it's some nice philosophy on what he thinks makes a Digimon compared to other franchises.
Well, a big thing about his design concept is the generic idea behind Digimon's designs in an ongoing basis seems to be twofold. One, look at American heroes. And two, what kind of designs and things are of interest to people now.
Yeah.
And
there's also the understanding of having fearsome designs because they're meant to be fought with.
Yes.
As opposed to some of the, like Tamagotchi and stuff like that.
And also him being told to please calm down. Since he brings that up, that he's always being told to make the designs a bit simpler. And I don't remember who was, someone pointed out, oh yeah, they tell him that, and then they bring back Osmaria for X Evolution stuff. But yeah,
make it shinier and pointier.
Shinier, pointier, and it needs shining green stuff on it. I do find it interesting that when they were designing Zubamon, they basically just started with Omegamon and then simplified it. I mean, when you look at it, it was one of those things that it kind of always went. It kind of looks like a little Omegamon, sort of. But I always thought that was something like we all kind of just imagined as a group.
Yeah, like you can totally see it.
Yeah, because
it didn't feel necessarily intentional.
Yeah, it always felt more like we were sort of just imagining it because Omegamon's that, like, it is the Digimon.
Yeah.
And I like him pointing out just how many times they had to go through and redesign Omegamon. Because even in the book, they don't show the design that Volcano Oda has shown people for years. Because in the book, they show the insecty one and the one that looked more like kind of like a grungy warrior.
Yeah.
Volcano Oda has shown a sketch Watanabe did where it was a centaur.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was literally Metal Garurumon, but without a head, and then War Greymon's upper body's just put right there. And I like how it's clear he has no intention of leaving. And it's just really interesting that the main designer's still there 20 years later. And I really recommend everyone go through and read it. But I have to admit, the next one was really of more interest to me personally.
All right.
Again, a translated interview with Tenya Yabuno, who one of the older Digimon artists. He did V-Tamer, he did Come On Digimon. And it was just really interesting to see his insights since... I mean, he was both like one of the guys who helped design stuff as we know it, but he also did his own thing.
Yeah.
Like them pointing out that he designed Holy Angemon, even though that version of Holy Angemon really doesn't appear in stuff that much.
Right.
Or pointing out that someone checked with Watanabe if it was okay if he used Omegamon as a villain. Or they bring up Edamon being based off a Shonen Jump character.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just all sorts of neat stuff in here.
It's almost hard to talk about because of how much they talk about.
Yeah, it's just read the interview. It's it's fun to look at how many iconic things that we now instantly associate, that everybody instantly associates with Digimon, that came from random fleeting ideas in this manga that has not been released in the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah. But even like the insights on it, like they point out he didn't use evolution for basically 2 years.
Right.
Because when he started it, the idea of them de-evolving simply didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Although oddly, he does cheat and he uses it later in the manga for multiple characters except Zero himself.
Yeah.
I kind of would, and him bring up, he references the anime in multiple places, even though you have to sort of look for like the butterfly.
Right.
And there's just so much interesting stuff. It's really hard to even talk about because there's just so much. Just go read it for yourself. And I love that he's still drawing the characters even. Like at the bottom we get that great picture that he did for Hacker's Memory for promotional use. We really need the manga in the U.S. I mean, we need it. It's such a good interview though, with just so much insight onto the franchise as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Everyone go bug Viz.
Yeah, go bother Viz. Actually, go bother everyone who does manga. Bother them all.
Mm-hmm.
And then next up, they reopened voting for the Tokyo Anime Award Festival.
Round 2, here we go.
Yeah, this is basically the finals at this point. Go vote for Atmon.
I've done so a few times.
Yeah, I believe I actually saw you vote earlier because it posted on your Twitter.
I started out not doing the post to Twitter thing, and then after a few, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. At the moment, Atmon is 10th place.
Mm-hmm.
Which is still higher than I reasonably would expect it to be. I mean, it's
still pretty good.
I know it's really good to be in the top 10 at all. I mean, it's legitimately impressive to be there.
And it's not even that big a down. We finished 8th in round 1. It's like that's I mean, that's as good as that is. 10th is not that big a fall, so 10th is still fantastic.
Exactly. And continuing along with Atmon, the final rental DVDs the covers are out, and I want to say they will be in rental DVD stores in early February. It's weird. There's one rental DVD that does not use the artwork from the actual DVD boxes, and it bothers the hell out of me. The first one with Eugen uses artwork of Eugen and Offmon that's not from the DVD boxes because they want to have Offmon there instead of Shootmon.
Right.
Yeah. These are nice rental DVD covers, but the thing that is worth talking about is the last DVD box. Atmon's done. I mean that is that is the last thing coming out that we know of until more international stuff comes out.
Please, international stuff start coming out because I want to keep talking about Atmon.
Yes. And I finally got that damn slipcover to almost scan properly. I'm just pleased as hell that it actually came out not like trash like the other 3 did. Atmon has gotten good and serviceable DVDs. I still want Blu-rays. And it's still really weird to me that they keep using single layer discs so that they can just have more discs in the box rather than just getting it done.
Yeah.
This is not a set that needed 5 discs. These are all single layer DVDs. The discs aren't even full. There's 3 episodes on each one.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. We did not need a 5-disc set for this, minus that they wanted it to be a 5-disc set.
Yeah.
I do like, though, that it feels like we get the whole color range with all 5, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I keep associating Eugen with green.
I kind of associate him with it's like yellow, yellow green.
And I feel like the most important thing is there's been 4 booklets with these. So what is the last thing we see in the booklet? War Greymon. I mean, it both makes sense and it kind of feels wrong.
They should have just done Omegamon just for the hell of it.
Yeah. It just feels kind of weird. Like the last page of the last Atmon DVD booklet is just Agumon and Wargreymon.
And I like that they get more prominent focus in the randos and on the other half of that page.
Yes. And it's also weird because it also makes you realize just how few random characters show up in the last quarter of the series.
I was gonna say the back cover kind of shows that off. You know, the smartphone concept, because those were pretty full in the first couple volumes.
Yeah.
And now in volume 4, you've got the God grades, and I think 3 of those were just really random appearances. They weren't really featured at all. Like the phone and the compass and the dictionary, they were just kind of there. They had like one scene.
Yeah. I still wish we would have gotten Onmon in some way, even if it was just at the end.
I know. I'm shocked they never put Onmon in there.
Yeah, but then they show us, and it's still Bootmon, and he's still just kind of sitting there. It was really weird. I thought it would be Onmon.
I think that feels like that was just kind of a laugh there. Like, instead of doing something that would have been convenient for Hajime, no, we're gonna put all of Bootmon in there and make you take care of this. What I don't even remember what level Bootmon is, but yeah, you have to take care of that one instead. I don't remember if
Bootmon's
ultimate. Is it ultimate? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Take care of
it. Because he combines with Shootmon to make Rebootmon.
Right.
Man, you know, I really do hope, like, I do have to say, when they bring it here, I only have one real request. Either keep the levels exactly as they were in Japan, or just use the English levels from Digimon. We don't need another set of levels.
Yeah, at that point, if they change Ultimate to something other than what it is is an Atmon, they're just trolling.
Yeah, because
depending on where it airs and, you know, your quote unquote cultural sensitivities, I could see them changing God grade to something else because of reasons. But
just change God.
But no, keep Ultimate.
Just
please.
Change God to Mega.
Yeah.
Just do something easy. We don't need any more crazy levels. I mean,
they're gonna change it to Ultra. Just watch.
Yeah, I mean, you're having the same thought I am. I mean, it's not hard for me to swap back and forth between terms, but even with Evolution at this point, we have 3 complete. Like, I never had an issue swapping between the English and the Japanese levels as long as I knew what people were talking about. The problem now is we do have the 3rd level, meaning the same thing in English for one show, Japanese for a different one, and then in Japan for the old stuff, it means something different yet again.
The key is if you know which version they're talking about, which isn't always immediately obvious.
Yeah. It's also much easier when you're typing, because you can stop for a second and think. When we're sitting here talking and we're saying levels, we have to think as we're still talking.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to see what kind. It feels like we're in the situation with Atmon where we could be waiting months, or 10 minutes after the show's done, a press release could show up.
I hope for 10 minutes.
So do I. Whatever they do, I would just like it to be, well, roughly the same as what they're doing in France, where do whatever you want for the show. Just do it to the same footage and give us dual language Blu-rays when you're done. I want Blu-rays. I want them to be dual language. I've already said, like, the only voice that I've really stuck with is who I want to be Dokemon.
Yes.
And I've been very, very clear about that. I want it to be Brian Beacock.
Yeah. I mean, I just want Brian Beacock to be in there, but I agree that Dokemon would be the ideal role for him.
Yeah. Because the problem is any other role I might put him in my head, that is, it comes across as a bit too easy. Like, it would be too easy to make him Haru.
Yeah.
Or even Gatchmon. To a degree.
I still think the idea of Derek Stephen Prince as the App Drive voice and Grandpa would be hilarious.
I don't dislike that voice. I almost want a more older, regal type voice so that when the yelling starts, it sounds funnier because it's not the voice you expect it from. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who it should be? It should be Bo Billingsley.
Oh God.
Yeah, just imagine him being. Yeah, think of because he can do both the good.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
He can.
Yeah.
That's
that's who it should be. And we're just about. There's a little bit of Atmon in the next bit, but we're sadly moving on from Atmon. And we jokingly said 4 or 5 months ago that we weren't expecting much more to show up for Atmon, and we've had it non-stop since then.
We've made it non-stop because we have to keep it in our hearts.
Now, they did a short film to celebrate 100 years of anime, and Digimon showed up in it. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm just sentimental or not as cynical as I like to be. It was a very nice film, and it wasn't quite as advertisey as I expected it to be.
No, it was sweet.
Very nice. And we had some Digimon actors doing singing. We had Kenichi Suzumura, who's Koichi in Frontier. Momori Suzuko, who's Sora in Tri. And Toshiyuka Toyanaga, who's Rei in Atmon. Not to mention Jam Project, who...
Yeah.
Not really Digimon, but they show up so much with Wada Koji. It feels like the fandom gives them, not official status, sort of.
Right.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's fun to watch. It was neat to see Adventure show up because it's one of those things where you're sitting there and I'm sort of like, there's gonna be something. Where I'm like, there's gonna be something Digimon, but okay, no, there's not. And it's exactly what you'd expect.
Right. It you feel like it should be included, but you don't necessarily know. Yeah. And you're just hoping.
Yeah. And I mean, overall, the singing lineup was rather impressive.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure we have much more to say about that, minus that I really do recommend everyone watch it at least once, if only to see all the different anime. Because it's neat just to watch it and go, okay, I know that, I don't know that.
Yeah, it's you see that Digimon part and it goes straight to One Piece. It's like, yeah.
Well, it's funny because when they were both new-ish, they got paired up a lot. And that sort of changed as One Piece blew up into One Piece and Digimon became something different. And shall we move on to Tamers?
Sure.
They're doing a mini marathon, sort of the first 24 episodes. And just the first 24. Wink.
Yeah.
It's amazing. They're doing promotional stuff 2 months early, and they're certainly not going to do the rest of it in March, I'm sure.
Of course not.
It really is one of those weird promotional things where they go, we're just doing these 24. And it's like, you're doing it 2 months ahead of time. Why
you're not fooling anybody.
Why not just go, and there'll be another one later, instead of just acting like it's going to be the first 24.
Yeah. At least they ended on a appropriate place. They ended on episode 24.
Yeah, that's
right. Stop it.
Yeah, that's
the end of the first half.
Yes.
Whether or not the math works out.
Yes.
That's the end of the first half of Tamers.
Yeah. And yet more Tamers. We have more artwork. They put up a nice high-resolution preview of the first Digibook art, because the Blu-ray boxes in Japan are plastic pages with cardboard around them inside of a bigger box. I don't know. I really like this art, even though it seems to be upsetting a lot of people that it's not on model. It's like, it's 20...
It's a little bit off. But...
Well, here's the thing. It's the original artist, and it's 20 years later. His art's not going to be identical. It's just not going to be. I like that. I mean, they all have good energy to them. They all have a real part in the art. No one's really sort of just there.
There's a lot of personality in everybody.
And Terriermon's the best.
Of course.
And from the newest V-Jump, They don't say what it is, but it appears to be the second Digibook page, or the second Digibook art, having all the final level Digimon, and it's very, very tiny. I attempted to straighten it as best I could for the card. Oddly, this is once again them doing the same theme as the first two boxes, but doing their own spin on it.
Yeah.
The first Digibook had the characters in a casual event. So here it has them at the park. The second one had face-off between the good guys and bad guys. Here we're only seeing the good guys rushing towards what we can assume are the bad guys.
Yeah.
It's a good piece of art. I really want to see it much bigger, though.
Right.
And
that one's you need to appreciate the details.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is the funny part, is I feel like if the other one was smaller, we could still appreciate it just as much.
Yeah.
But
and honestly, people probably wouldn't be complaining about the off-model stuff if it was smaller and they couldn't notice it.
I'm just not sure I consider it off-model. It's not in the show.
Yeah, it's I can see what people are upset about. It doesn't bother me at all, but
no. I feel like the most interesting one's Ruki, though, because it's like she's looking at the audience in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Is Lucas all right?
He's fine.
Okay, just checking.
He's Mom's here.
Okay, and moving on. After God knows how many delays, Amazon finally started shipping out more of their War Greymons. And I scanned the box because I had nothing better to do that day. I still love how there's elements of the toy in the artwork. And I just realized they didn't use the little hand guard on the cover.
Oh, yeah.
Which is weird because our banner doesn't do that and people always complain about it. I don't think there's much more to say about that, but the next one, they did a huge preview of Metal Garurumon. And everything about this toy I love.
Yeah.
The one thing, though, I'm still trying to figure out the hands. Like, I know they need to do it because of the feet.
Mm-hmm.
The hands still kind of don't work for me. How do you feel about the double hands they did? I mean, I like that they did the double hands. I'm just not sure. It looks a bit too much like a person's hands for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
It looks like they took them off of Fig Arts.
Yeah, yeah.
And I keep looking forward to Tentomon also.
Yeah, Tentomon's gonna be interesting.
And what do you think about that the promo video has Volcano Oda? The fact that they got Volcano Oda for the promo video might be the most hilarious in-joke possible, because there's no reason to have him doing it, but any Digimon fan who realizes it's him gets a very nice Easter egg.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then they did the little teaser image for Alphamon.
Mm-hmm.
And Metal Garurumon's out now in Japan and out next month in the US. And then they showed off detail work for the gem figures. Which, how much are these things going to cost? Every picture we get of these just makes me think, like, what, are these going to be $150 each?
Right?
I mean, I don't know what to expect for these, because, like, there's detail work on these that almost look more like how you'd expect a fan to customize them.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect cost-wise?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, 120 probably would be.
Yeah.
Seems to be.
So, okay, serious guess. After this, Omegamon? I mean, it feels like they've been leading up to it, don't you think so?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And then we get to move on to Try. Not much to say here. Australian pre-orders for Part 2 have opened, and Part 3 should open soon. I'm sure May will have more to say about that next time, but it's been a very long wait for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been half a year since the U.S. release.
For part 2, yeah,
it was August. Yeah. And then UK, we have scans of the UK version of part 3, which it feels like the UK discs feel like the oddest thing because it feels like a lot of people in the US want the UK stuff and a lot of people in the UK want the US stuff.
Here's what we do. We trade them our digital downloads if they'll send us the physical copies.
Yes. And then, and speaking of part 3, A&N interviewed Johnny Young Bosch, and it was very much a generic try interview, but it felt more like part 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a little more focused on part 3.
I mean
that's sort of TK's movie.
Yes, that was the TK show.
Yeah.
I'd say just everyone read it. It's good interview. I don't really have much to say about that. Do you?
You can tell that Jacob Chapman's a Digimon fan.
Yes. Although it still felt weird to me that they bring up Wendy Lee, which felt weird. Like, I understand why, but talking about it originally being played by Doug Erholtz just felt weird to me.
I can kind of see that. I mean,
I understand why, but it just feels weird because
there's such a departure from 8-year-old Wendy Lee TK to 14-year-old Johnny Young Bosch TK that you have to start with the middle.
Oh sure, but it feels interesting because it's the one character that basically every step you've had. You've had a different cast member for every age, relatively consistently.
With the Japanese version too.
I know, but down to it and including Erholtz was back for the 4th movie. They had both of them in Digimon the movie.
Yeah.
The ages have always been split apart perfectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone should read that, and
I do like, Johnny Young Bosch, he's kind of figured this character out pretty quickly, considering he didn't grow up with any experience of Digimon. Like, he figured things out really fast.
And yet, no mention of the hats.
Well, yeah, the hats is kind of a new thing, but yeah, like, he's even like, there's this thing with Kari that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, Try has played that to a good degree, I think.
It has very good degree. Yes. I really like the balance we've got with that. It's not too overbearing. Yes. There's some personality with that relationship.
Yeah. And now, I feel like the next thing was probably one of the bigger surprises we had in this batch. I don't think anyone was expecting Animedia art of young Maki and Daigo. And they're happy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And I don't know why,
alive,
and I don't know why, but people keep being people are like, Daigo's the one with the goggles. We knew that. We saw it in part 5.
We saw it in part 5. Yeah. I didn't see that kind of reaction, but after part 5, I should think. But
yeah, but very nice piece of art.
I think what is throwing people off is the idea that Maki and Daigo are still important characters that we're supposed to sympathize with and worthy of being on covers of or inside Animedia.
Honestly, I feel like the reason they did this was sort of as pseudo filler because it's so far away from anything that they decided to do a couple shots of things that are more unexpected before they have to get back to full-on promotion mode.
Yeah, potentially. But I think that, Maki and Daigo are going to be important parts of part 6, I feel. So
unless Maki's dead and Daigo's dead and Taichi's dead.
Yeah, if they're all dead, then I'll take it all back. But
of course they're not dead. I'm just saying that thematically we're supposed to believe that they're all gone.
Yeah, movie 6 starts out with Taichi waking up and finding Daigo's dead
body.
Well,
even their own promotional stuff isn't even referring to them as dead. It's just they're under rocks or whatever it said.
they're missing, or they're...
Well, no, I believe
what the language, buried underground.
Yeah, like the Part 6 promotional stuff isn't even pretending that they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt that all three of them are alive.
Yes. Now, we've talked about Part 6, so now we have to go back to Part 5. Even though Part 4 hasn't had its theatrical showing, we already have a trailer for Part 5. And the weird thing is it has dialogue, which the Part 4 one does not.
It has the most generic dialogue for any I've ever seen.
Yes.
Like, it's all just very, Digimon, send out the Digidest and that sort of stuff.
It was the first day of recording for 1 or 2 actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that will be in theaters May 10th.
Yeah.
And before the next time, no matter how soon we record, we will have already seen Part 4's dub in theaters.
Unless I miss it, but...
Yes, minus potential last minute, like I already have, you never know what can come up at the last minute.
Well, I was gonna buy tickets this week, and I think the site was having an error, like, for all of that theater's ticketing service. Like, the whole thing was just down because it was said that this event is not available.
Okay.
But it said that this event is not available for every event I could have potentially bought tickets for.
Okay. Yeah, and it still feels weird that we already know we're getting Part 6, and it...
Yeah.
This is the speed we expect from Digimon releases, even though we haven't really gotten it that way in, at this point, 16, 17 years?
This Part 5 English trailer tripped me up so much that I'm half expecting a Part 6 English trailer in, like, a month. That's not gonna happen.
No, but that's like what we got for the first 4 years of the stuff in the U.S. We got it at a pace that is up until now unheard of for anime.
Turnaround. What's going on?
Yeah, it's just it's still weird. And we're almost back to that point.
Yeah.
Like, we will have Part 5 in theaters when Part 6 is in...
or we'll have Part 6 in theaters
in Japan
after it comes out in Japan, yeah.
I don't know, it's just... And, of course, at some point we'll get home video information. And it will be done before the year's over.
Of course.
Which, at worst case scenario, puts us half a year behind Japan for finishing. Which I'm perfectly okay with.
Yeah, and that's a home video release. Like I said, the theatrical release, Part 6 is right on the heels of the Japan theatrical. Yeah,
and they announced interviews with the cast as extras. We don't know what that means, since, like, Part 4 is, I believe, just Joshua Seth. So we don't know if interviews with the cast means they've interviewed multiple people, or they're just hedging until they figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine they've probably recorded it, but maybe they're going to try to cull the best ones and use those. Yeah. Or it'll be kind of a mishmash like we got with the Part 2 extras.
Yeah, it's just very odd that we've gotten it the same day as Japan for subtitled. We were basically only one behind as of August.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were 2 behind, and by the end of the year we will be we'll be done the same year as Japan was. And
to think like, as soon as, like, 2 days before Part 1 was about to come out in theaters in Japan, we weren't sure when we were going to be able to see this.
Because we only found out there were people who went to bed Thursday night, and when they woke up Friday morning, Try was there. That's really weird.
I was going to go into work Friday. I had a con that weekend. I was going to go into work Friday morning. I quickly canceled that. I was like, I made up an excuse and told my boss, like, I'm not going to be in all day instead of only taking a half day.
It's just really weird, because what's the most warning that we've had for an official statement? 3 days? 4 days? Like, at this point, it's like, for Part 5 was, like, the longest headway we had, which was, I believe, 4 days or so. They have to know this stuff's going there. Just why? Tell us ahead of time, damn it.
I think part 2 was almost a week.
I think
I
part
feel
2
like
was.
Toei, I feel like Toei Animation had a couple things. You know, that English Twitter
I
account.
believe they did part 5.
Yeah, that one I think they were on top with part 5, but Crunchyroll sure hadn't done anything.
Well,
Like Crunchyroll said nothing for part 4 or 5.
well, part 4 was fucking weird because they weren't saying anything, but people who worked at Crunchyroll would keep saying stuff.
Yeah.
But kind of like.
Yeah, it's like, why are you worried?
Well, yeah,
Because you're not saying anything.
And it's like, well, I've said this, so I would take that. It's like, it's sort of like the headache-inducing thing of you're telling us to take you at face value, but why isn't anything being said?
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really weird.
Why are they not promoting that?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
So let's move on to questions. And while they think of questions, since you weren't here, what were your favorite things from 2017?
I mean, I said this on the chat last time, but just the amount of quality content we got, you know, in terms of... I think that this year we've been seeing some of the best writing that Digimon has had in its entire history, because Atmon ended up closing really strong, which I don't think was a certainty at the end of 2016. Like, at the end of 2016, Atmon had finished its first, arc, and it was okay. It didn't really get good until 2017 happened, and we get into all that Eugen stuff. Like, that's when it really started taking off. And Try's still fantastic. The stage play was amazing. Hacker's Memory has been really good. This has been such a good year for content.
We all really wanna really get into the stage play. I mean, I really want to talk about that, but it really is something that I want to talk about with everyone.
Right.
And what do you hope and think we'll see for the rest of the year? Like, for example, do you think by the end of the year we will have new Digimon animation announced?
I think we'll have something. I don't know what form it's going to take, but I think we'll have something. And it may not be necessarily a release, it may just be an announcement, but I think we'll know what's going on.
Yeah. I feel like they have to announce something, or else what will they do for DigiFest?
Yeah. When do they usually announce the details for DigiFest, or have they announced
I would expect it in the next, between now and the end of February.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So let's see what questions we have. What do we think Sistermon CL Awaken will look like? Probably very much like Sistermon Noir Awaken, but bluish.
Right. Same but blue would be the answer. I'm disappointed that it's a virus. I really wanted that to be Data.
Okay, question was, do you think we'll get another, group batch of Digimon, rather than... I assume what they're saying is do they think we'll get, a bunch at a time, like we did for Atmon or Cross Wars, instead of, say, a drip of new ones like we got for, say, the 20th anniversary? It really kind of depends what a new thing is.
Yeah, I think it's... like, if they announce a new anime, I expect we'll get a bunch of new Digimon tied to that.
Yes.
But if it's just, project by project, I think, each project that comes along will maybe get one or two, or maybe a line.
Yeah, something like Atmon required it, because there's no way to drip.
Well, yeah.
You can't drip feed out characters when everything's new.
Yeah, Atmon you have to just... have a whole bunch of new ones. But even if it was a traditional Digimon anime, you're still going to have, probably the partner Digimon, and their evolution lines will be new at the very least.
Yeah. I will let you have this question, since I'm not playing the game. How's the localization and translation for Hacker's Memory so far?
It's okay. I mean, it's still Cyber Sleuth. It did have, Cyber Sleuth had some well-documented problems, and Hacker's Memory, I haven't noticed any particularly glaring typos, but it's not the kind of translation where I'm not and I expect that they're going to show up eventually. And I have noticed a couple of screenshots about the way they've translated some of Shoutmon's attacks and powers. They've been really inconsistent on how they use cross. Whether they use CROSS or XROS.
It feels very much like a localization where Bandai Japan was in charge.
Yeah.
As opposed to Next Order, where it sort of felt like Bandai Japan sort of went more hands-off.
Yeah.
The next question is, do we think the dub of Part 6 Future will be screened at Anime Expo this year? I think... I'll go ahead and say yes. It's a bit early.
Yeah.
But who doesn't like doing promotion is the thing.
Yeah. It's a bit early, and the fact that it's going to be in theaters instead of just a home video release, I think might disrupt that a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's... trying to think of the way to put it. If it were a bit later, I would say absolutely. It feels a little bit early to sort of do a preview when they're doing a theatrical release, is the thing.
Yeah, the fact that it's a theatrical release.
Like, for example, I could see them doing it at Otakon, which is middle of August.
Yeah, possibly.
The very beginning of July just feels a bit too early, is the issue. Because this year it's the 4th through the 8th for Anime Expo, I think. That just feels too early for me. Especially since it's we don't have an announcement for Part 4 on home video, which means these are, at least for early on, are going to be 2 or 3 months back, so they may be promoting Part 5 on home video at the time.
Which may constitute a Part 5 screening.
Yeah. That'd be a couple months out from... Yeah, so it would make perfect sense. And, of course, the other thing is even if the dub of Part 6 is premiered, we'll have seen... I mean, most of the people who are likely to go to Anime Expo are anime fans, so most of them, if they want to see it, they will have seen it. Just not dubbed in English.
Yeah, I mean, considering it is one day only, there's always that possibility that they just weren't able to make it, but...
Yeah.
Barring that, then yeah. And that's really who they've been targeting these screenings at as well.
Yes. Although they may try to throw in a screening so they can get footage for a Blu-ray extra.
Yeah,
because that worked.
They could always do another panel.
Yeah, that worked really well with them for Part 3 because they were able to get the panel was right after the screening of the one that had ended up being the extra 4, which really made it perfect.
Yeah.
I believe the next question's definitely for you. And I could go ahead and guess that the answer is yes. Is online PvP still PlayStation Plus only? But without playing the game, I would say yes. Because that's what the service is.
I actually missed that completely. Could you repeat that? My audio cut.
Is online PvP for Hacker's Memory still PlayStation Plus only?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what PlayStation...
I haven't gotten far enough that I'd be willing to try PvP. I don't want to subject Yaromon to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what PlayStation Plus is, though.
Yeah.
I don't see it somehow not being there. Here's a good one. What are our general feelings towards the try so far, and what do we hope to see in Part 6? I think so do I. I would just like to see it end well. I don't have any... would I like to see Alterus? Yes, I would. Would I like to see X and Y and Z? Yes, I would. As long as it ends well, I don't particularly care.
For me, it's sticking, you gotta tie the plot together properly. For me...
Stick the landing and don't show us the O2 kids.
For me, the big one was is nailing some of the character arcs, because there's a couple character arcs that I think could still go south if they don't have the right grasp of it, like particularly with Maki and...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, to go along with that, I don't know if these are the four you were gonna say, but Maki, Mako, Taichi, and Hikari.
Close.
Sorry, not Taichi. Daigo were one of the ones that particularly concerned me.
Okay, I was gonna go with Hikari.
Yeah, Hikari for sure.
Yamato.
Yeah, actually, Yamato is another one that I really want to see a lot out of in this last movie.
Mako.
Mm-hmm.
And to a degree, Taichi. I think you could easily argue that what Taichi did at the end of Part 5 was tying up him figuring out what he needed to do and simply doing it if you want to.
More or less. He needs to get out of the, he needs to have his big moment in the end. Kind of the same thing with Mako.
But to a degree, I think you can argue, I think if they wanted to, they could say that was the moment where he does the right thing. He doesn't really need to think about it. He basically just looks at Omegamon, and Omegamon understands.
Yeah. It just need to have. I just think there needs to be a little bit something to reinforce that. Yeah. Also, if Taichi didn't have a badass moment in the last movie, that just feels off.
Yeah.
Just because it's Taichi.
For Maki, I'm torn. If they use her more, they need to deal with it. If not, I could easily see that just being the end of the character if they wanted to.
No, they need to tie that up because Maki does kind of need to be a sympathetic character.
No, I don't think she needs to be. I think if they bring her back at all, then yes, they do. If they don't bring her back, I think you can argue that is the, getting their just rewards.
Yeah, if they had killed her in movie 5, I could potentially see that, which would have worked because Daigo had that moment, the psychic connection moment where he's like, oh my god, Maki's in serious trouble. If she had actually died there, that would have worked fine.
See, I'd say thematically though it was a death, not a literal death, but I'd say thematically it could serve the same purpose if she does not come back. If they just don't show her again, then I'm fine with it as it is. They can't flash to her, and it has to be it if that's going to be it.
I think it's pretty clear that she's still alive, though, and that's.
Oh, I'm not.
If she's still alive, I think.
To be clear, I'm not saying she's dead. I'm saying thematically it worked the same as a death.
Yeah.
That they could say that is the end of the character. The character is gone. I'm not saying I expect that. I'm saying if they don't bring her back, I'm okay with how it ended thematically. They can't really show her in the Dark Ocean and then do nothing with her at that point, though, if they show it in Part 6.
Right.
That's what I mean. If they want to say it was thematically a death, I'm perfectly okay with that. But then that has to be it for the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, do they need to show her? Yes. If they do show her, they need to deal with the plot and character ramifications of that. If they don't show her at all, I'm willing to say, okay, that is an acceptable thematic end of the character, even if I expect them to do something else with her.
Yeah.
And of course the problem is, and it's the problem that we both kind of have talked about this sort of thing, we're sort of theorizing on things that we don't necessarily, even when we're talking about stuff we want to see, we don't necessarily expect to see it.
Right.
We're almost sort of giving a pseudo wish list, as it were. It's sort of like when I'm sitting there going, well, I want to see Alter S. Do I expect to see Alter S? Not really.
Oh.
Right. But thematically, with what they've done, in the back of my head, I keep going, they keep showing us new stuff, and I don't know. And I'm just not sure I have a hard time believing we wouldn't see something new at the end.
I guess mine gears more towards expectations because it's not so much what I want to see appear, it's I want these character arcs resolved competently.
Oh no, so do I.
These are competent writers and I expect them to do their damn jobs.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm just saying that.
So for me it's more expectation.
No, mine is expectation too, but it's also expectation of what works, not necessarily what I want to see. Like
your expectation might be a little more out there. There's something I've found I might want to do. We should do down the road is make do kind of a 90, 50, 10% predictions where something that's 90% likely to happen, 50% likely to happen, and 10% likely to happen. It might be a fun game to play down the road closer to the release of the movie.
That would be something like maybe before there's even any possibility that any of us could get spoiled. Like once we know when there's going to be a screening.
Yeah, it'd be before the pre-screening.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and I will definitely do that.
And definitely want to do that with May, of course.
Yeah, that's one of those type of things where we will delay for a month and a half to make sure it's done properly.
Yeah, definitely want to do that with May.
Yeah, and do we feel Tantamon's line change in the dub of Confession deviated from Izzy's arc and general theme of the unknown and inevitable? Not really.
Yeah, it seemed. It seemed to work out.
I mean, the theme. Part 3 had less overtly obvious themes to the kids than 1 and 2 did.
Yeah, especially
like when you look at part 1, you can easily understand what's going on with Taichi and that Yamato simply doesn't understand.
Yeah.
With part 2, it's very easy to look at Mimi and understand what's going on. Joe understand what's going on. In the case of part 3, we understand what's going on with Takaru, but it's not really a.
There's a lot of people that get Joe messed up though for part 2.
Well,
I've seen a lot of
part 2 of Joe. They keep thinking he's scared, and that's not it.
Yeah.
And people keep thinking about that with Taichi in part 1, and that's not quite right either. In the case of part 3, it was a bit more. I
think Takeru's is pretty.
His is pretty obvious, but it's also not the personal truth in the way that most of the characters were.
It's obvious, but it's kind of complicated to explain.
And Koshiro's is much different because he doesn't really come to a personal truth in the way that the others do in an obvious way. It's more that when he's more getting upset, it's pointed out that it's okay for him to be the way he is. He just needs to.
Yeah.
Maybe stick his head up every once in a while.
You are who you are. Just adjust your actions appropriately. Yes. Type of thing. It's sort of the same thing Sora did before.
Yes.
Like Sora doesn't do a whole lot of changing, and that's sort of the character arc.
Yes.
This time you're fine.
Well, the character arc.
Let the people change around you.
Yeah. The character arc was also making sure the other person understood that yes, that is who she is. It's not her trying to manipulate people. That is just who she is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about sooner rather than later. And I really am looking forward to part 6 to see what happens. And going to be a lot of upset O2 fans. Well, because what I mean is they're not going to get the thing they think that they thought is going to show up for every single part. It's just not going to happen.
I think it's going to be impossible to satisfy them at this point, even if they do show up and have an appropriate level of participation.
Yes, they may get like a single moment of being awesome, but they are not. I do not expect them to play a huge part in the story like people seem to expect.
If they get a moment of awesome, it will be a single moment of awesome. They get one.
I would not be shocked if it is just a single character design shot or even silhouettes.
I do hope for more than that. But that's more than expectation.
I do too. But thematically, from what we've seen, I would not be shocked if it's just silhouettes of seeing they're okay.
I think we'll get enough. Not necessarily enough for, fans of that particular series, but I think it'll be enough to satisfy the story.
In the back of my head, I honestly believe we will probably see at least enough that they can sell more CSA D3s.
There you go.
Yeah, I feel like we'll at least get a Daisuke and a Ken.
Cross your fingers, maybe we'll get a Maki too.
They could easily do one where it's Maki, Daigo, and Mako.
That'd be fun.
Yes. And maybe do a version 2 of the original CSA Digivice and fix the mistakes.
Yeah.
Where everyone warp evolves in it. I think that's mostly it for this episode. Any last minute questions, we'll answer. We'll give them a moment to catch up. And next time should be the stage play. I know I keep saying it will be in the next one, but it really would feel wrong to do it without everyone here. like it would have been less fun if it was just me and May last time. It would have been less fun if it was just you and me this time. Next time I won't be able to make it, and you and May will have to figure it out.
Yeah, just give us all your passwords for the YouTube, and we'll make it happen.
But yeah, we're in the midst of exiting sort of the cold time.
That was a really warm, cold time.
Yeah, it was. And people keep...
We got game announcements this week.
We've gotten multiple game announcements in the last month and a half. Like, they announced whatever the next Digimon story is going to be.
Oh, yeah. That's still coming up, too.
Yeah. There's a lot.
I forgot that there's a new story game in the pipeline.
There's a new full game being made, and they basically said Hacker's Memory was just made so they could release something.
Yeah.
We're getting not Digimon Links. We have Digimon Links in the US, which I'm gonna call it
Digimon Crossing until I hear otherwise.
I mean, I've completely abandoned Links at this point. I believe you have also.
Yeah.
I think May's still with it. I think. It looks like we're about done with questions. Since no one has any more. Like, subscribe us on YouTube, follow with the Will on Twitter. Why don't you let them know where they can find you?
Yeah, my stuff's up on digimon.firstagent.net. I do have the stage play.
Yeah,
my review of the stage play has been up there for a month now.
Well, that's the funny thing about the stage play. May recently did the stage play on her show.
Mm-hmm.
When the stage play first came out, I did a
did
a quick review of it because I kind of wanted to keep some thoughts to discussing it here rather than arguing it to death on the forum before.
And that was, I think you put it out before the fan sub came out, though.
Yes.
So.
I mean, yours is up. Although I had a script at the time. It just was before the fan sub was out. I had access to a script.
Yeah. But that's hard. That'd be kind of hard to watch.
No, I had it synced to the DVD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It just was not the fans. It just was not a finished fan sub. I was able.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got it timed up and
yes.
And coded. Okay.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot to talk about with the stage play. That's one of those episodes where I kind of hope the news is slow. Because there's a lot to go over. And, okay, so someone has jumped in with a question that they say we skipped. What do we think the QR code on Thearudamon will show when scanned? It will either be removed or will be a generic link that means nothing. There's been no real information given to us in QR codes. It's just not what it's used for.
Yeah.
It's either going to be a link to Digimon.net, or it will say Thearudamon. Or I'm not sure I expect it to even be there. It may have just been put by whoever did the initial scan, put it there, and didn't realize they were putting it in a bad place, for all we know.
It'll be the most elaborate Rickroll ever.
Yes. That's about it. And join our Patreon to help support the site. And I believe you have a coffee, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a coffee set up now.
Yes. So give AR money also.
I'm now doing a thing on I started doing a thing on Tumblr about rating inter-season pairings, and I've now gotten to the point where if I get a commission on coffee, I would actually write a short story for whatever crazy inter-season pairing you want to throw at me.
Can you stop baiting the shippers?
I love baiting the shippers. It's fun.
Don't we have enough issues with the shippers?
It's not so much that I like baiting the shippers for the mainstream stuff. I want to go after some of the weird stuff. Like, I'm getting weird. Well, no. The last one I did had me create a scenario that would find Mako and Iru from Hunters getting together, and I did it.
I don't think that's that.
If you pay me money, I will write a story for them.
I'm not sure that's that hard with Iru's character, because you could argue she'd basically just act the way Tri-Mimi does. In the context of that.
Mine goes further than that.
Boo, it's easy. Yeah.
It's basically Iru hunts Megumon and gets more than she bargained for. it goes from there. But anyway.
Yeah, we will be back shortly with the stage play. And I'm still not sure, even if we both go, I'm not sure how much we'll be talking about part 4. Because it's one of those things where we've talked about it to death. I'm not sure how much we'll discuss it just because it's dubbed.
I'll put a review out of it when I see it, which means taking a notepad in the theater again, which is always a joy. But once I did, and I noticed that with parts, when I reviewed parts 2 and 3, it's like you kind of get the gist of it. Like part 1, you sort of is your experience watching tri-dub.
Yes.
And that sort of still carries over for parts 2 and 3. I mean, parts 2, they had there's a few more joke lines
but it's one of those. But it's one of those things like
there's errors in all of them.
Yeah, it's sort of like, let's skip part 4 just since you weren't on the podcast at the time. But like part 5, for example, we talked about part 5 on the podcast. I don't see how we would change the discussion based on the different cast.
Yeah, it's sort of, you're almost looking back at revisiting the movie as a whole.
Yeah.
Especially since when I did the reviews, I did those in episodes just to have a little more time to write on everything.
Well, it'll especially be hard for part 5 because by that point, by the time we're discussing part 5's dub, we'll be done.
Yeah, that's a week after part 6. That could be the same episode, possibly.
Yeah, based on timing. I mean, we could be off talking about Avengers at that point.
Right, and I got a convention around that time, too. Like, I'm going to have a convention like a week after part 5 in theaters, 2 weeks after part 6 subbed.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a fun con.
Okay. Yeah, we will catch you guys next time. And, based on scheduling, the stage play could always get pushed back again, because at this point, I think it kind of has to be all 3 of us.
Right.
Because
we're sort of
we've committed to that, and there's
You could have talked about it 3 weeks ago if you were going to do it without one of us.
Yeah. So we will be back. I want to talk about the stage play so much. There's so much interesting stuff. Okay, shall we leave them each with a thought for the stage play as a teaser? What would yours be if you were to give them one thought? It can have spoilers because this is the end. People can cut off if they want to, if they haven't seen it. If you were to give them one thought of yours on the stage play, without us discussing it at length, just something for them to muse until we talk about it, what would it be?
I find it incredibly complimentary to try. I don't like the discussion of which one would necessarily be better because they kind of work together in a lot of interesting ways.
The stage play does not work without try.
Stage play does not work at all without try.
Yes.
Try can work without the stage play, but I think the stage play adds enough interesting bits that are kind of missing in try to make it worthwhile.
And you can also sort of use it as a fan and crutch for a few things if you really want to.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
My thought would be, after watching it and even discussing with other people, I think there's an argument to be made that we don't actually know what the fuck happened in the stage play, as far as villains and plot goes.
That is a fair thought.
Yeah,
I think we'll have a broader discussion about that. I'll be ready for that discussion.
That is basically me giving you a hint.
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Yeah, that is me giving you a hint into my thought process so that you have a heads up on one of the things I'm going to say. Because very often we don't necessarily know what the other person's going to say, and then we discuss it at length.
I was going to go so far as to say that the stage play doesn't actually have a story, but that might be a little far.
I would say that much like Try, the story is the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But we will discuss that next time, hopefully. Thank you all for showing up. We will see you next time. Bye.